Good evening, everyone. Today is the 22nd of April, and I am so very glad that you're here. I want to say a shout out to everyone in Southeast Asia. I also want to send out a prayer this evening to the people of Sri Lanka who have suffered a terrible loss at the hands of some people that were just unfortunate and just not happy and felt that it was necessary to kill others to satisfy their own desires. And for that, I'm really, really sorry. And so I want to just offer a prayer for them. If you know anyone in Sri Lanka, please contact me. Maybe we can send them some oils, but we want to make sure that we're reaching out to that community today. If you're joining us from Europe, good afternoon. And if you're joining us from the United States, good morning. Happy Easter Monday. For those of you who celebrated yesterday, I hope it was a glorious day wherever you were. And I was very lucky to be here with my family, and we did have a beautiful day, and we're finally getting really good weather, and everything is in bloom. So it's a wonderful new day. So thank you for being here. So today we're going to talk about personal care, and I also want to give a little bit of a question that I'm going to put out now, and the question is. Let's see if I can actually type it in the chat. Hold on one second. Yeah. Okay. So let's see if I can type it in the chat. If we were to add some business tips or part of a business presentation to this presentation, this weekly presentation, would you be in or would you be out? And what I will tell you is we've had some pushback in the past. Some people have said, no, oils only. And some people have said, yes, we want oils and business. So I'm going to throw it out there. So are you interested? And you don't have to answer right now. You can answer whatever you want. Are you interested in some business and business tips? Let's put it that way. And if the answer is yes, then we're going to start adding some business tips, and we'll see. I know this is a slightly smaller group today. Some of you may still be on vacation, and I know from my U.S. team, many of you have children that are home and on spring break, so you may not be on with us today. So let's get started right away. Share my screen. Okay, so today we're talking about personal care. And this is a little bit different from just skin care because personal care really is everything and all encompassing, everything from your teeth to your nails to your hair. So we get a little bit of everything here. And I want to make sure that in distinguishing the two of them, there's not any doubt about how many products we actually have that can help you with your personal care. Because I think that we tend to think of doTERRA as an essential oil company, but really a company with 4 parts. And those 4 parts are, of course, essential oils, supplementation. Don't forget our supplements. We love those, and they are a driving force in our company. Our personal care products, and then our home care products. So personal care and then home care, and those are our 4 major areas. And of course, essential oils can reach across all of those 4 categories to help us take care of our home or our body or our mind or whatever it is that we need them to do for us. But we are a very varied company and have a lot of amazing products. I want to say thank you to our Presidential Diamond team. Anybody who's on here today, anybody who's been on here in the past, I really appreciate all the work that you do to keep this engine moving and also to spread the word of good health and how important it is really to work within a community, because I think sometimes we can distance ourselves from a community because we feel, oh, well, those people make me crazy, or they've done something that I didn't like in the past. But I'm going to challenge you to draw back into the community, because that's really where we draw our strength. And many studies have shown that community is what keeps us alive. And that when they study people who are octogenarians and nonagenarians and centenarians, so those are people that are 80, 90, and 100 years old, the one driving force that all of them seem to have in common is that they have kept in contact with some sort of community, whether it was family or friends or through their church or something that helped them to feel connected and that they did not isolate themselves. So one of the beauty, I think, of this group is that it is a community and a growing and thriving one, and one that has many wonderful parts to it. The ideas in this presentation are taken primarily from the book, Essential Oils Healthcare for Today. And these are the top 50 health issues from A to Z. It is a beginner's guide, and I know many of you are super familiar with this book. It's fondly known as the LRP book. And we are going to be talking not only about the concept of LRP, but I have one slide at the end that I want to introduce, which is why I'm asking you the question about business tips. I want to make sure that we are getting on here on a regular basis and giving some business tips that can be helpful. Okay, essential oils and personal care. So this lady obviously has or maybe not obviously, but she has a bottle of HD Clear on her, in her hand. And the thing that I love about HD Clear is that it's really versatile. You can use it whether you're old or young or middle-aged. We never know really when blemishes are going to strike us, and it can be sort of a challenge, especially as adults, to suddenly have acne. It can be strange, and it can be hormonal, of course, but it can also be having to do with stress. And so just be mindful if you are having some acne, maybe take a look at what the causes are, and then begin to address some of those causes with essential oils. Okay, so using essential oils for personal care. As I started in the beginning of this presentation, I mentioned that we can talk about our skin and our hair. We talked a lot about skin and in depth last week. Cleansing the mouth, the teeth, and the gums, and general hygiene and beauty. Okay, so why do we use essential oils in personal care? So number one is we know that the skin itself is a giant organ, and it's all one organ, and that anything that we put on our skin is absorbed by the body and goes into the bloodstream, usually within seconds, but sometimes as slow as 20 minutes, but it is absolutely absorbed by the body. So you want to be mindful of exactly what it is that you're putting on your body, and how toxic it is or how pure it is. That's one of the reasons why I started using essential oils, is because I started looking at the labels of things that I was purchasing and thinking to myself, would I really want to eat that? Do I want to be absorbing that? Some toxins we cannot ignore, or we can avoid, rather. We live in cities, we come in contact with other people that may have germs, or we eat things that we don't know exactly what's in it, or we have surprises in our life, and we certainly have stress. But essential oils are one of those things, can absolutely help us with our personal care and can help us to minimize the toxic load, kind of reduce the load that we're carrying on a daily basis. Essential oils, of course, we know they're pure, safe, and non-toxic. They're easy to incorporate into your daily routine, and I like to think about essential oils transferring into our lives. So they're replacing other things that are more toxic. So for example, if you were using a traditional shampoo, or shampoo that you purchased at a drugstore perhaps, or a discount shop, and you look at the label and you begin to see things like sodium lauryl sulfate or parabens in there. And for those of you who are not familiar with some of these chemicals, they are very toxic chemicals and are known to be hormone disruptors. And now you think to yourself, wow, could I do something better? Is there something cleaner out there? And I want you to take a look at some of the maybe essential oils or essential oil-based products and begin to transfer them into your life. And of course, in addition to the cleaning or cleansing benefits of essential oils and the detoxification, they also provide us with aromatic benefits. And the aromatic benefits really are they're multifold. They can help uplift our mood. They can help us to feel better in general. They can improve our outlook on life. I sometimes find when I'm having a little bit of a stressful day, if I can just sit down and take a minute to smell some essential oil, I can really feel so much better. Yesterday was Easter here, as I mentioned to you, but it was a little bit stressful. We had gone to Easter Vigil Mass, which we don't always go to. That's actually the day before Easter. It's late at night. You very often will light candles at the Mass. Everybody in the Mass will get a candle at the service. And I took my mother with me, and many of you know my mother's almost 90 years old, and she was kind of, I hate to say this, but she was kind of freaked out by the candles. And so she thought she was going to get burned, which was a little tricky. And so we had her sit down, and then she sort of calmed down, and we were able to stay till the end of the service. But I have to say, by the time I got home, my nerves were, I was down to my last nerve, and I went upstairs to my bathroom, and I put on some Console and some Forgive. And it's hard sometimes in those moments where you don't know what to do, and you're kind of trapped. I'm sitting in a pew in a church with hundreds of other people. Where am I going to go? I don't have essential oils with me. I had a tiny purse, but I was able to get back to my house and kind of rest and relax. And now she's fine, and she didn't even remember the incident, and we were all kind of able to laugh about it when we got home, but it was a little tricky in that moment. So sometimes we use essential oils, or we don't know, how are we going to get to the next thing? And it can be a small issue that happens in the moment, but it can also be bigger things, and we can talk about that in a minute. Okay, so let's talk about essential oils versus other hygiene products, right? So essential oils, of course, and I'm reading some of this out to you. They are natural ingredients taken from pure sources. They're potent and powerful, so you're going to use less. And so what does that mean if you use less? It's actually going to cost you less. And I'm a big proponent of trying to manage your budget and manage your finances. So if you are struggling in your finances, essential oils can be a way for you to actually do something that's a little bit cheaper. For those of you who have gone the route of making your own household cleaners, you can make a household cleaner for pennies compared to some of the costs of the current household cleaners. I know when I go to my supermarket or my big box store, the cost of washing powders and soaps and sprays and window cleaners and all these things really has just skyrocketed. I'm sometimes amazed to see a box of either washing powder or some sort of other spray, $5, $10, $15, $20 US for something that I know in years past was certainly under 10. And so it can become a very large part of our budget, especially if we're trying to keep our house clean. But if we begin to substitute some of those products with natural things like vinegars or maybe borax or baking soda, all of which are very inexpensive, we can begin to bring our cleaning budget down. And I have to say, we do use many, many natural things in our house. And I would say even more daily, because we're beginning to really look at some of the things that we've always used and substitute more natural things, including essential oils. Number 3, as you can see here on the left, for those of you who are looking at the screen, only need a small amount of oil so it lasts longer. It's more cost effective, as I mentioned before. And then we have a natural way to care for our body or our physical space, right? Other hygiene products, and we're talking about everything from soaps to lotions. We're talking about shampoos, any sorts of body cleansers, scrubs, rubs, whatever you want, often contain synthetic or mysterious ingredients. A lot of product is required to achieve the desired effect. You need to restock that product more often, and you may not know exactly what you're putting on your body. Okay, essential oils in the skin. I'm not going to go into this in great depth because we talked for 45 minutes last week about skin and all the things that you can do with essential oils and skin. I do want to remind you that the presentation is posted on Team Power Diamond and on Oil Camp Alumni if you want to go back and listen to the presentation from last week, so you can hear that in its entirety. You can also, we talked a little bit about occlusive ointments. Those are ointments that kind of provide a solid, kind of greasy, thick, greasy barrier if that's what you need. And sometimes we do. Those products are available at ElenaJordan.com on the shop tab. But in the meantime, suffice it to say that doTERRA does have a broad range of products that you can use for your skin. Okay, so benefits, of course, cleansing and purifying, soothing or smoothing and nurturing for the skin. I use a lot of doTERRA essential oil products. I use some of the prepared products. I mix some of my own products. I know many of you are experts in making your own roll-ons. I know I can shout out to people like Marie Durso and Karen Johnson in the US, and Elizabeth Ho and Joycelyn Schwa, and some other people that are really mixing up their own blends on a regular basis. I frequently, whenever I've met up with you, you're carrying something interesting that you've made up yourself. Lorinda Walker here in the US, a really good friend and colleague of mine. It's great for you to know what you need for your particular situation. Okay, best essential oils for skin. So for normal skin, lavender, petitgrain, geranium, ylang ylang, juniper berry, copaiba, immortelle blend. And if you'd like, if you're looking at the screen, please feel free to take a photograph of this slide. It's not proprietary. And of course, anything, if you do have sensitive skin, you want to make sure that you are diluting with fractionated coconut oil. So I'm going to tell you a little story about something that happened actually over the weekend. One of my colleagues called me actually in a panic because she was cooking with a microwave, and the water in the microwave actually exploded when it came out of the microwave and burned her face very severely. And I was very concerned for her. And I was actually not even talking to her. I was talking to her husband because he was so upset and she really couldn't come to the phone. It had kind of splashed up, if you will, and it was all over her face, including her eyelids. And so we began to talk about what could be done quickly to solve this problem and to help her to feel some relief. So we talked about skin really in three broad-based areas. Number one is cooling and soothing the skin immediately after the burn. So cooling and soothing the skin, you want to make sure that you're using some sort of cool compresses or ice to really bring down the swelling and to minimize the blistering. So on the face, you could use cold towels. You could layer in some ice into the towel. Never put ice directly on the skin. It's a little bit too harsh. And then using fractionated coconut oil, about 10 milliliters with 1 drop of lavender and 1 drop of frankincense, and applying it generously to the skin for soothing. You don't want to use large quantities of essential oils when the skin has been burned because it can be very drying, and that can actually make the burn feel worse. You want to be able to put that ice on the skin for at least 20 minutes. And if you need to repeat it, no more than 1 hour in total, 20 minutes on, 10 minutes off, 20 on, 10 off, 20 on, and just kind of cool down the skin and help it to relax. The other thing that you can do is you can layer slices of cucumber on the skin. That will help with the blistering and to draw out some of the pain of the burn. And then you want to talk about anti-inflammatories and using anti-inflammatories quickly to help bring down the inflammation, because the skin is obviously reacting to a shock that it's had. So I would recommend probably copaiba, soft gels, and deep blue capsules. Now, if you are a person who is very petite, small of stature, you might want to start with 1 and 1, and you want to take those with food. So this person, the lady that I was talking with, is actually very petite, and we recommended that she take 1 and 1 really every hour if she could, taking it with small amounts of food so that she didn't have stomach upset, to begin to bring down some of the inflammation. After about 4 or 5 hours, she was able to add in some myrrh, which is very soothing to the skin. We also added in yarrow palm, also an oil that's moisturizing because it has the pomegranate fatty oil in there. So using just those things, so lavender, frankincense, yarrow palm, and myrrh, she did begin to see relief. The last thing we did was kind of, and something that probably all of you know, this is sort of a traditional treatment, if you will, for soothing the skin. Tea and tea bags. They tend to be cooling. The tannic acid can actually work as a mild topical analgesic, or a topical, almost like a lidocaine, if you will, to not necessarily as an antiseptic, but to stop the pain on a topical level. And so you want to try to use something natural, and tea can often be You've got to be very careful as you apply it, sort of patting it gently onto the skin and helping the skin to maybe just feel that cooling, soothing sensation, which is the same thing that the cucumber does. Now, I've been checking back in on this lady every day or so just to see how she is. She did wind up going to her clinic to make sure she could be checked. And she's beginning to heal, but it was quite a scary incident. And we want to make sure that you have things on hand that you can use if your skin or any part of you really undergoes some sort of a trauma, whether it's a cut or a burn. You want to make sure that you have products available to you that you can use right away. So for blemished skin, you see we've got a huge list there. And interestingly enough, it's not in alphabetical order, and it's not in order of use. I don't think, I'm not sure what oils this is in. I think spikenard is on there because spikenard can also be a topical, oh my goodness, I can't remember the word this morning. What's happening to me? A topical painkiller. We know that spikenard was used in the Bible, and that it's one of the things that was used on Jesus' feet before he was crucified. So another Easter reference here. Frankincense, also sandalwood, used in the Bible and mentioned in the Bible many times. For mature skin, okay, that would be me. We're talking about spikenard again, immortelle, myrrh, frankincense, ylang-ylang. And you can see the other thing that I didn't talk about much is sandalwood. But sandalwood traditionally has been used in Eastern cultures, also in Mediterranean cultures. It's used in many soap and hair care products. We do know that sandalwood has wonderful moisturizing and soothing and replenishing properties for the skin. Oily, dry, and oily and dry combination. You can see there's several different ones there. If you're listening to me, I think you're going to have to take a look at this slide. For oily, I'll give you the top three: lemon, lavender, and cypress. For dry, sandalwood, geranium, and cedarwood. And for oily, dry combination, lavender, petitgrain, geranium, and ylang-ylang. So these are really great. But I would say your yarrow palm, one of our newest blends, is something that you want to add into your daily routine if you possibly can. Okay, tips for essential oils on the skin. You want to dilute them with carrier oils. And we're talking about or a cleanser or a moisturizer. When we have sensitive skin, we want to be very concerned, or not very concerned, but we want to be mindful of starting with small quantities only. And when we're using them on children, the same thing. We want to be able to dilute them either with unscented lotions or with fractionated coconut oil or with some other diluting mechanism. You want to avoid exposure to the sun or UV rays when using citrus oils, and dilute for anything that's considered hot or warm. Things like cassia, cinnamon, clove, cumin, oregano, or thyme. Okay, to use them in your daily routine, of course, you can use them for cleansing and purifying, reducing the appearance of blemishes and imperfections, and to promote a healthy looking complexion. So now we get into a little bit more body care. So when we're talking about body care, we're talking about everything, let's say, from the neck down. And why do we want to use some of these scrubs? And especially in city living, we tend to build up sort of an outer, rough, drier layer of skin. And our skin can get dry for many different reasons. It can get dry from pollution or from heat. We live, at least in the Northeast, we live in heated houses, and the forced air can actually dry out the skin enormously. So can air conditioning dry out the skin, because what is it doing? It's circulating the air at a much more rapid rate, and it can actually help to evaporate the natural oils and moisture from the surface area of the skin. So scrubs like this can actually remove that dull layer to reveal the more vibrant, healthy skin below. So mixing brown sugar, fractionated coconut oil, lime, and ginger. So I'm sure this not only smells good, it almost feels like you could eat it. You're gonna combine these things, and then you're going to put them, apply them to hands, arms, legs, or feet, and scrub until the sugar dissolves. And then you're going to rinse with warm water and pat dry. And my recommendation, as I mentioned to you last week, is Just be careful if you're in your shower or somebody else is going to be using your shower, just really rinse down or wash down your shower afterwards with some soap. We don't want anyone taking a slippery header and then knocking their head because they've slipped on some fractionated coconut oil in their shower. But this is a really lovely sugar scrub. And you can buy sugar scrubs pre-made, but they're super expensive. And a lot of the ones that I see in the discount stores have yucky ingredients on them, which I wouldn't want to use. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Virage and HD Clear and the doTERRA Spa line. We're going to touch on them briefly because we talked about them last week, but I think they're important as we talk about the whole body. We talked about HD Clear versus the Virage line. HD Clear I like to think of as sort of the teenage line, or anyone who's suffering with blemishes, including the face wash, the cream, and the blemish roll-on. And then Virage line including the cleanser, the serum, the cream. There's a little bit of everything, the toner, the little bit of everything for everyone. So it's almost as if you're going from the teenage years to your early adult years, and you can pull out products from any one. They're all can be incorporated with each other. So I don't want to limit you based on your age. I want you to use the products based on what you need for your body. Okay, so now let's jump into hair care. Now we've skipped over body care. This lady has beautiful, luscious hair. I think it is colored though, and that's why I want you to see this particular hair. Many of us color our hair, and some shampoos are not good for colored hair, depending also what kind of water you have. We have very hard water in our house. We live in a house with a well, and while the water is delicious and fresh and comes bubbling up from the ground, it does have a lot of minerals in it, and it tends to strip the color from your hair. I find that the doTERRA shampoos are terrific for the for color treated hair. The one thing you do want to be mindful is that they do have some salts in them. So if you're a person who has gotten a keratin treatment, and all of you ladies who know what keratin is, it's basically a way of kind of reducing frizz in the hair. You want to make sure that you're reading the label carefully. But the essential oils for the hair, and I know we have some great testimonials out there about people that have used essential oils for hair growth, including lavender and rosemary. And I can't show your pictures here online because I'm trying to be compliant, of course, but really good results using lavender and rosemary for encouraging hair growth and hair flourishing. So cleansing properties, if you suffer from dandruff or seborrhea or psoriasis, any of these dry scalp conditions, you can use essential oils topically on the scalp. What I like to do is I sometimes, especially as this change of seasons, I'll get a little bit of dry scalp right at the front of my hairline, which is not too attractive because I tend to wear my hair back from my face. I don't wear bangs or fringe of any kind. And so I'll take a little bit of fractionated coconut oil and an oil like ylang ylang, and I'll just gently rub it into the scalp in the front of my hair until I'm ready to shampoo my shampoo, and then I'll shampoo that away. And I find that the scalp is cleaner and fresher and really feels great. And yet it's not scratchy or dried out the way it would be had I used a harsh anti-dandruff shampoo. I think also of essential oils as nourishing and fortifying, and I think that's why people do sometimes feel that their hair becomes thicker or begins to grow back where it had been perhaps patchy, because we're promoting a healthy scalp. Okay, so best oils for hair and scalp, and you can see rosemary right there in the middle. I'm going to read these out because I don't know if everybody's watching me, but please feel free to take a photograph if you'd like. Geranium, rosemary, and clary sage, ylang ylang, jasmine, and sandalwood, melaleuca, peppermint, and Roman chamomile. Now, I don't recommend that you take all 9 of them and you put them on a roll-on and you apply them to your head. That's going to be a little bit too much. But I would say if you're trying to encourage more hair growth, probably your rosemary and your clary sage. If you're trying to clean the scalp, your geranium and your ylang ylang. Maybe your melaleuca. If you are have a child in your house and you're concerned about lice, I'd be using your Melaleuca and your peppermint, and certainly your sandalwood for rich, beautiful, luscious hair and for refresh the hair. And our jasmine is great for a couple of different reasons. Number one is it has some fractionated coconut oil in it, so you can use it almost like a moisturizer. And Roman chamomile is very relaxing and soothing. You can apply that right to your head, and the whole cranium will begin to relax. If you're having sort of head tension, that's a wonderful essential oil to apply to the head as well. Okay, here's our full hairline with a couple of add-ins. So from left to right, our shampoo, our conditioner, Healthy Whole Glaze, and Root to Tip Serum. You can add oils to the shampoo and the conditioner. So if you need something extra, so for example, if you are battling a little bit of dandruff and you want to put some Melaleuca either in the palm of your hand and mix it in, or you want to mix it into the entire bottle, either one will work. You can combine essential oils with water in a spray bottle and spritz on the hair. And finally, use essential oils to promote a healthy scalp. Now, I will remind you that if you're using fractionated coconut oil and you're applying it to your hair daily and you're now washing your hair daily, your hair may begin to feel a little bit greasy. I know 2 weeks ago, I was applying, I think it was jasmine to my hair, and it smelled so beautiful, but I started noticing that my hair looked dark. And I thought, my goodness, what's wrong with my hair? But I realized it was the fractionated coconut oil actually kind of wetting down my hair and making it greasy. And so after about a day or so, I kind of cut back. I was rolling it on and rolling it on and rolling it onto my scalp, and which was a little bit too much, I think. I tend to overdo it sometimes. And so when I finally quit and then washed my hair, and then I realized, you know what, I can be a little bit more gentle with the jasmine. I don't have to get so crazy. I can also roll it at the back of my neck if I actually don't want it on my hair, or I can use a small amount on my fingertips and work it through my entire hair. Many of you know that I've worn my hair in different lengths, and right now I'm wearing it quite long, much longer than I've worn it in at least 5 years. And so I find sometimes that the ends will get dry. So I love the conditioner. I love to put it on the ends. My husband and my son both use the shampoo and the conditioner. My son's going through a stage where he's wearing his hair a little bit long right now, sort of in a flow. He wants to look like a hockey player. And as I've mentioned to you before, he's an athlete, and the sport that he plays is called lacrosse. You can look it up if you're not familiar with it, but they do wear a helmet similar to a football helmet. And so he wants the hair to be seen underneath the helmet, folks. This is a real style choice. But needless to say, I say to him all the time, you can keep your hair long if it looks neat and healthy. If it looks like a wild mess, then no, we're going right to the barber and we're going to cut off all the hair. But he's 17, so he's getting to the point where he's really taking care of his hair, and it looks pretty sharp. And he was one of the altar service in Mass, and they have this giant candle. It's actually the candle that will be burned for the entire ecclesiastical year, and it weighs about 40 pounds. 40 pounds is about 20 kilos, folks, so it's really heavy. And you have to carry it through most of the Mass. It gets lit and then carried around the sanctuary. And then when during the Mass, during the ceremony that we have at the Easter Vigil, people are baptized because they're joining the church. And my son stood with that candle, and I remember thinking, oh my goodness, I hope that fire or wax doesn't fall on his head. But he was great. He did a great job, and we were super proud of him. But needless to say, his hair looked terrific, and he didn't get burned, and my mother didn't get burned either. So it was quite an exciting night. But I think we all in the end came home and just had a good laugh about everything that had happened that night. Okay, here's a recipe for a geranium hair mask. So some of you gentlemen may be asking, what's a hair mask and why do I want to use that? Well, so just like we use masks sometimes on our face to refresh our face and to make our face feel more vibrant or softer or look better or remove dead cells, we can do the same thing with our hair. And if our hair has been color treated or dried out, or we've been swimming in swimming pools, we've been baking it in the sun, it may begin to look a little bit kind of frizzy and dry, and that's really not a good thing. So this one actually has eggs in it, interestingly enough. So eggs, honey, olive oil, and 5 drops of geranium. and you're going to mix the eggs with the olive oil. You're going to add the honey and geranium oil and mix it until it's creamy. And you're going to apply the mask from the roots to the ends until completely covered. You're going to cover the hair with plastic wrap or shower cap for 30 minutes, and then you're going to rinse with warm water and shampoo. Now, eggs can be sticky, which is why the honey and the olive oil are necessary to kind of move the eggs through the hair and not have them be caked on your hair later on. The geranium oil will moisturize the hair, and so will the honey and the olive oil. And when you take this mask off, when you rinse, you're going to find your hair just feels lovely and delicious and should be really shiny and renewed. Salon essentials. So I showed you the products before, but now I'm going to show you a couple of different sizes if you haven't considered these before. And for those of you who are actively sharing the business, if you're sharing with your hair care provider or your barber or your salon, you want to make sure that they know about the larger sizes of the shampoo, which are called back bar. And the reason they're called back bar is because, as you know, ladies, or maybe even gentlemen, when you get your hair washed in the salon, you sit in a chair, you tip your head back, and they wash your hair in the sink. And then behind the sink, they have a bar or a little shelf where they keep all of the large sizes of shampoo so that they're readily available for them to wash your hair. And that area is called the back bar. So it's back behind the sink. Those back bar sizes are key to making our shampoos and our shampoo and conditioner economical in a large setting. Now, I will tell you a trick. I have a couple of bathrooms in my house, including one that's used by guests, and I actually keep those 2 bottles in my own guest bathroom. I think it's important enough that when people come, they have that available to them. I often have the Healthy Hold Glaze and the Root to Tip Serum on a little tray in that same bathroom. If you're going to be talking to salons, you want to make sure that you have the shampoo and conditioner samples, because they really are a wonderful way for you to talk to your client or talk to your prospective customer about how the products work and how they smell. Okay. Essential oils and oil care. No, we do not have dental floss, but you can put essential oils on your dental floss. And if you were having a tooth issue, so for example, if you were having an ache or a discomfort around a tooth, you could put a little bit of essential oil, sort of paint it on the dental floss with your finger, and then floss gently around the tooth. I've done that before with Melaleuca. I've also done it with On Guard, because On Guard is a disinfectant. So if you're having any sort of a gum issue, you can gently floss in that area, but paint the essential oil onto the dental floss first. Okay, great oral hygiene, including cleansing the teeth, gums, mouth, and promoting fresh breath and healthy teeth and mouth. Did you know that myrrh is actually terrific for oral hygiene? You can add it into your dental routine. Myrrh is one of those amazing oils that has so many good properties. You can use it for mouth hygiene. You can use it as a gentle sunscreen. You can use it to moisturize your skin. So myrrh is one of those things. It's a topical anesthetic. That was the word I was looking for before. Anesthetic, topical anesthetic. It has so many interesting properties. We should learn more about myrrh. We'll have to do a fuller, in-depth look at myrrh and some of the trickier oils that we don't talk about that much. Best oils for oil hygiene: clove, cinnamon, cilantro, and coriander. Some of you I know are turning up your nose about cilantro, but it really is good for your mouth. Fennel, frankincense, helichrysum, and juniper berry. I have to say, I have not used helichrysum or juniper berry for oral health. Lime and all the citrus oils, peppermint and spearmint. And oil hygiene can be just about everything. It can be healthy teeth and gums. It can be fresh breath. It can be a healthy tongue. So there's a lot of different components, and many of these oils, as you know, are good for digestion, which means that they are healthy and will help you in multiple different ways if you're taking them in through the mouth. Okay. Tips for using essential oils and oral hygiene. You can see this cute little girl here. You want to use small amounts for her, And you want to make sure that you're diluting. Now, one of the things that I do, I've had, if you have any sort of tooth discomfort or gum discomfort, maybe you just come from the dentist and wasn't anything serious, you always want to check with your dentist if you've had oral surgery to make sure that you're using a proper essential oil. Maybe bring your essential oil with you when you go to the dentist if you want to apply it. But one of the things that I do is I actually will take a Q-tip or a cotton, something sometimes they call cotton swabs or cotton buds, and I'll put a drop on that cotton bud, and then I'll gently apply it to the base of the root of the tooth, as far down on the gum as I can get it, and that will usually be very soothing. Acts again like a topical anesthetic to kind of deaden the pain, but also to clear away the bacteria. When you're doing this with children, you want to add a drop of fractionated coconut oil, but it will work in exactly the same way. Okay, daily routine, essential oil mouthwashes. We now have our own mouthwash, but for those of you who are in countries where the mouthwash is not available for sale, you can use spearmint oil, cinnamon oil, eucalyptus, and lemon, and about 2 ounces of water, folks, is about 40 milliliters. 40 milliliters, maybe a little less, maybe 20 milliliters. 20 milliliters of water with a single drop of essential oil, and you can swish that around in your mouth. You can also do like this bottle shows and mix up a little bottle for yourself and have it available on your bathroom counter. And then you'll need to shake it each time to make sure that the oils are equally dispensed in the water for you to use. Okay, our products include our toothpaste. What it doesn't show here are the little samples. I don't know if it's in a future slide. Our toothpaste is whitening, and of course our peppermint beadlets, one of my favorite things. I carry them obsessively. In fact, I was out the other night and there was a gentleman there who told me that he liked Listerine strips. Does anybody remember Listerine strips? They were like a kind of piece of, I know this sounds crazy, but they were sort of a piece of waxy paper that you used to put in your mouth and it would melt. And I can't imagine the amount of chemicals. They were also either bright green or bright blue, and they would dissolve on your tongue, and then they would leave a big green or blue square on your tongue. And this man said that he loved them, and he used to take 7 to 10 at a time. That's really cannot be healthy for you. Not to mention the chemicals, the dyes. Yuck, I don't even think about it. And I said to him, have you ever tried peppermint beadlets? And he said, what is that? And so I gave him one, and he said, it's not strong enough. And I said, okay, you want a few more? And so I was going to give him 2. And he tapped the bottom of the bottle, and now remember folks, he's a first-time user of peppermint beadlets. He taps the bottom of the bottle and 5 fall out, and he says, that sounds good. Puts it in his mouth. He crunches them in his teeth. His eyes fly open. His eyebrows fly up, and he goes, gee, these are really good. That's perfect. Where can I buy them? So I have a customer, I think, for life. He's going to be going through peppermint beadlets like crazy. But I thought to myself, at least I helped him to find a healthy alternative. I love it when someone says, I love it and I'll take it, and it's going to be an alternative to something that I've been doing that isn't healthy. So that's my peppermint beadlet story for the day. Okay, other ideas for using essential oils during your daily hygiene routine, of course, showering and bathing, shaving, or deodorant. You can use them as substitutes for perfume or cologne. For healthy fingernails and toenails, you're going to be applying either your Melaleuca or different sorts of blends. I want to share for you, actually, I'm not going to share it here. I'm going to share it on the Facebook page, a healthy toenail blend that I made up. It's based on another blend that I had seen earlier, but I added in Arbor Vitae, and that's been really effective, especially if your toenails are beginning to become discolored or they are misshapen in any way. This has been a great blend. Okay, any questions? You're going to ask them in the chat, but right after, so we're talking about body care, body care, body care. If you have any body care questions, please write your questions in the chat. But I want to mention one thing to you. Okay, so One of the things that we've talked about in the past is business tips and growing your essential oil business and how to share. And we've gone away from that for about, I would say, a good almost 9 to 10 months, maybe even more, maybe as long as a year. And part of that is because we had had some pushback from some of you on the call saying, no, I don't want any business tips. I only want to hear about oils. But I'm getting to the point where I feel like I really have to share my knowledge and share the things that I'm learning and I'm reading about, because I have to tell you folks, I think we need to grow. We need to grow as a team and we need to grow as individuals. And part of the way that we grow is self-mastery. And how do we do that? We read, maybe we meditate, we begin to become masters of the things that really are not serving us. So whether it's not getting up on time or not getting up with an alarm, or it's not keeping to a schedule, or being lackadaisical about our calling of customers, or other ways that we're not mastering ourselves. And I know that everyone that I'm talking to on this call is an adult. I'm not talking to any children. So if we don't have self-mastery, where are we going? So let's begin to talk, I think this may be a helpful idea, about maybe some of the things that I'm reading or I'm doing that can help you. My job really is to be a funnel for you of information. So if I come in contact with information, I want to be able to pass it along to you. So one of the things that we've been talking about lately is how to talk to people about the financial side of doTERRA and how to talk to them about residual income and why this can be a wonderful choice for them, even if they're working at another job, and how working in teams, in community, as we talked about when I first started this call, can be a way for them to really build a team and to grow it and to have permanent residual income. Now, we're not talking about get rich quick schemes, because that's not what this is about, but we're talking about gradually, slowly but surely building up something that has value, which is what many of you have done. And so what I'm asking you to do is to be open perhaps to learning some new tips and tricks to help others to do the same. I'm going to be teaching a class tonight here in the US, in New York City, about just the tips and tricks that I've been using lately. I'm actually going to be teaching the class in Spanish. You're welcome to join me if you want to DM me. You can. It's going to be tonight at about 6 o'clock in West New York, and we're trying to meet on a monthly basis to really hash out some of these new ideas, and I want to be able to open them up to you. So I want to hear in the chat, number one, are you open to some new ideas and some new coaching? And then number two is, can we begin to incorporate it on a regular basis? Because this call cannot stay static. If it stays static, we're going to lose people and people are not going to continue to show up. We want to make sure that it's a living, growing thing and that it's providing value for all of you. So I want to present you with actually one quick slide, because this is an important one. Everybody knows, number one is you can go to ElaineJordan.com and you can find many of the ideas that we talked about today, but begin to explore this site. It really was created as a home for all of you, places where you can find different ideas. You can send people for coaching. The link to Oil Camp is on there now. So instead of having to hunt around or get somebody to send you a link and so on and so forth, you can go right on there and register for Oil Camp if you haven't gone through it already. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching, if you want to shoot me an email and just ask me a question, this is the place for you to go. Okay, and as Warren Buffett says, if you don't learn how to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. And I don't want you to do that. I really want you to begin to find the way to make this business self-supporting so that it can continue to bring income in for you and your family for generations. Okay, remember, you are amazing. And nothing that I say or do will ever change that. You really are a gift, and a beautiful gift from God. And I'm so happy and proud that you're part of this community. Thank you for being here, and have a wonderful week. Okay, everyone, I'm going to stop the share, and then I'm going to talk to you business tips. Okay. Oh, we got a lot of We got a few questions. Okay, nobody answered me about business tips. Go to the chat right now, please, and type in, are you interested in some business tips? Doesn't mean we have to change the whole format. We're going to still continue to do oil, but do we want to make sure that we're adding in some business tips on a regular basis? And then I'm sharing with you the things that I'm doing, because honestly, I want you all to grow, and I want you to be exposed to some of the things that are helping me and are helping my team to grow, because I want your teams to grow too. Okay, so I'm going to stop the share, and then I'm also going to give out the prize of the day. Hold on one second. Okay.